If you've been following XRP over the past few weeks, you've probably heard the same conversations over and over again. Some people are convinced XRP is about to crash even further. Others are predicting life-changing prices any day now. And every time the market moves a few percent in either direction, social media explodes with new theories. But what if both sides are focusing on the wrong thing? Because right now, I believe one of the biggest mistakes investors are making isn't being too bullish or too bearish. It's believing that today's price tells the whole story. The truth is, markets don't move because everyone suddenly agrees on an investment. They move because expectations begin changing long before the majority of people notice. By the time headlines confirm what's happening, early investors have often already positioned themselves. That's why I think so many people are looking at XRP the wrong way. They're asking, when will XRP finally pump? Instead, they should be asking, what is changing that could make investors look at XRP differently over the next few months? Those are two completely different questions. The first focuses only on price. The second focuses on what actually drives price over time. Take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Financial markets have become much more uncertain. Global stocks have experienced increased volatility. Investors are questioning whether some of the biggest market trends can continue at the same pace, and economic uncertainty continues to dominate the headlines. Whenever that happens, capital starts looking for new opportunities. Not overnight, not all at once, but gradually. That's how market rotations have worked for decades. Money flows from one narrative into another. Sometimes it leaves technology, sometimes it moves into commodities, sometimes it returns to assets that investors previously ignored. This is why experienced investors spend less time asking where the market is today and more time asking where attention could be moving next. Now, does that automatically mean XRP is about to explode? No. And anyone telling you they know exactly what will happen next is making a prediction, not stating a fact. But ignoring the broader shift happening across financial markets could be just as dangerous as believing every unrealistic price target posted online. Because while many investors remain obsessed with short-term price action, the digital asset industry continues evolving. Companies are still building. Institutions continue exploring blockchain technology. Conversations around regulation haven't disappeared. They continue moving forward, even if progress isn't always as fast as investors would like. That's why I believe the biggest mistake today isn't being optimistic about XRP. The biggest mistake is assuming nothing is changing simply because the chart hasn't made a dramatic move yet. So, if everyone is looking at XRP the wrong way, what should investors actually be paying attention to? The answer isn't another prediction from social media. It isn't a chart pattern that promises a massive breakout next week. And it certainly isn't someone claiming to know the exact price XRP will reach by the end of the year. The real signal is much bigger than that. It's the gradual shift in how the digital asset market is evolving. For years, crypto was driven mostly by speculation. Investors chased hype, meme coins dominated headlines, and many projects were valued more for excitement than real-world use. But today, the conversation is slowly changing. More attention is being placed on utility, tokenization, cross-border payments, and blockchain infrastructure. These aren't the kinds of stories that usually create overnight excitement, but they are the kinds of developments that attract serious, long-term interest. That's one reason Ripple continues to stand out. Instead of constantly chasing hype cycles, Ripple has remained focused on expanding real-world blockchain solutions. Whether it's working with financial institutions, improving cross-border payment technology, or supporting the growth of the XRP ledger ecosystem, the company continues building even during periods when the market feels quiet. And that's something many retail investors underestimate. They often expect prices to move first and fundamentals to follow. In reality, it's frequently the opposite. Progress happens quietly, confidence builds gradually, and only later does the market begin reflecting those changes. The same idea applies to regulation. Many investors have become frustrated by delays surrounding crypto legislation, especially discussions like the Clarity Act. Some see every delay as bad news for XRP, but legislation rarely follows the timeline investors hope for. Governments move slowly, while technology keeps moving forward. That doesn't mean regulation isn't important. It absolutely is. Greater legal clarity could encourage broader institutional participation, but it's also important to remember that companies, developers, and financial firms don't simply stop building while waiting for every political decision to be finalized. This is why focusing only on today's headlines can create the wrong impression. Markets often reward those who recognize long-term trends before they become obvious. Does that guarantee XRP will be the biggest winner? No. All opening key saying. but it does suggest that investors should pay attention to more than daily price candles and emotional reactions. Sometimes the strongest investment opportunities are built during the periods when the market appears the quietest. And that's exactly why I believe so many people are still looking at XRP through the wrong lens. So, is everyone really wrong about XRP? Not because they're bullish, not because they're bearish, but because too many people are letting today's price determine tomorrow's possibilities. The market has a way of changing when the fewest people expect it. By the time the headlines become overwhelmingly positive, the biggest opportunities are often already behind us. That's why successful investors don't just watch the chart, they watch the direction the market is moving beneath the surface. Now, does that guarantee XRP is about to make a massive move? Of course not. No one can honestly promise that. But if the trends we've discussed continue developing, greater institutional interest, expanding real-world utility, and a maturing digital asset market, then the story around XRP could look very different than it does today. The biggest mistake may not be buying XRP too early. It could be waiting until everyone else finally agrees. Now I'd like to hear from you. Do you think the market is underestimating XRP, or do you believe investors are getting it right? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Ojan XRP Insights, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next XRP update. Until next time, take care and I'll see you in the next video.